Hello everyone, since I am about to send this off to my local representative, Congresswoman Latifah Simon, and it is my last copy. I only made two. I already gave the original away, and I made two copies, gave the first away. So this is it, and that's just how I roll. Johnny Appleseed of poetry, that's just how I roll. So the open begins, feet in the water. There are many ways to count one's blessings, as so many types there be. Like ability to climb a tree, catch crawfish in a stream, or to immerse in the surf of the sea. To stand alone on a mountain with tens of miles in the view. To have the resources and ability to experience the solitude too. To race through the woods of a forest on bicycle, foot, and motorcycle. Or fish from canoe in beaver ponds or lakes of vast expanse. Swimming holes in the summer, refreshing, cool, and fun. Toughened by demand of being a tree surgeon's hand, at the age of 6 my work began on wooded Connecticut land. My spirit toughened too to be callous to the pain when hands are bleeding and muscles ache, but at a task we must remain. State championship Pop Warner team with positions that were cool. Fast Feet Bradley, said the Newtown Bee, my stepdad's last name on this touchdown tool. Running back and first string safety, the last line of defense, intercepting and running 60 yards to beat the arch rival we played against, which got us to the state championship, where we got our butts kicked. With awareness of our time and what awaits this crafter of rhyme, while pondering a poetic subject into the water I climb. I've traversed the breadth of this country, hitchhiking and by bus, excellent ways to discover what unites and distinguishes us. I've met folk who never felt the sea, who never stood on ocean shore, who never swayed in the treetop or left their neighborhood to see more. Say that again. I've met folk who never felt the sea, who never stood on ocean shore, who never swayed in a treetop or left their neighborhood to see more. I have lived a life of royalty and liberty I've enjoyed, to pass unharassed from alley to valley to summits and range of places I've been employed. Yeah, I would say I don't care how I look. Pondering my privilege, what I've known that is unique, the kind of special experiences that people only live when we speak, having never had occasion to observe such for themselves, it is a writer's gift to the world to share where our doing delves. A picture is worth 1,000 words, we've all heard it said, and infinite subjects there be to frame on the wall of memory for the untraveled observer to see. Like nerves within the body, we do our relaying part, translating what we see and feel into the medium of our art. Chainsaw in the background. For all the water I've known, from the Atlantic to the Rio Grande, the babbling brooks of New England to the Pacific with paramedic hands, the motorboats and kayaks to water ski and splash, to have a childhood full of memories wherever my fishing pole cast. Or to be an adult in Yosemite swimming with my sons, looking for snakes and turtles and frogs whose catching is so much fun. Anyway, I was feeling nostalgic and grateful for my past, wanting to use all my blessings for literature worthy to last. I reckon unless you felt such things yourself, my descriptions leave you dry, as the push of water only knee-deep is a force that can't be seen by the eye. The way that minnows wiggle, or snakes can feel so smooth, I'm not sure that any poem to excitement could equally move. Text interrupted. I don't know if it interrupted recording, so I'm going to say that again. I reckon unless you felt such things yourself, my descriptions leave you dry, as the push of water only knee-deep is a force that can't be seen by the eye. The way that minnows wiggle or snakes can feel so smooth, I'm not sure that any poem to excitement could equally move. or what it's like to nearly die when exhaustion has set in and any additional effort means gravity and water will win. I had a cousin who drowned. I was in that position myself once, knowing that if I kept going for that canoe that the wind had pushed away, any extra effort to retrieve it meant that I would drown, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And just as I decided and made that understanding and stopped going after it, the wind that was pushing it only inches away from my fingertips suddenly stopped. And I was able to catch my breath and then grab the boat and not die. Anyway, so where was I? Or what it's like to nearly die when exhaustion has set in and any additional effort means gravity and water will win. To stand beneath a waterfall and experience a kiss, all the lucky treasures many lives will forever miss. Whitewater river rafting and training to rescue from the same, dragonflies over swimming pools playing Marco Polo game. What pains me on to anger about those who orchestrate war, creating its existence so the living live no more, is all that becomes stolen from the children of the day who have to live in fear instead of freedom to simply play. All the walks through forest and field that can no longer be allowed because landmines or combatants lurk in every shadow shroud. Damned be the demons of desire who destroy because they can, being too corrupt of spirit to take its sickness from the hand, given to serve an idol in the form of law of the land. Letting imaginations lord over what is true, to justify behavior that does what it shouldn't do, dismissing people's realities as if they cannot be, even to the point of cruelty, removing life and liberty. No regard for circumstance or good reasons that are true. False narratives are forced as if a victim's abuse is due. This is where we are, though, with the guilty in control, with arrogance and lack of empathy as a kingpin of their goal. Our bodies are the perfect example of different parts that work together. It is unfortunate that basal bullies want such unity to sever, believing themselves superior enough to hold such reins, to encage, enslave, or deprive, or even bash a bleeding brain. They stand behind their falsehoods, holding the monikers high, as if what they call others excuses torture or making them die. These idolaters will be punished for disrespecting life, for wasting its potential, calling oppression right. Oh, how they boast beforehand that they are strongest and best, dismissing others with language and what ensures they won't be blessed. Comfortable with their hypocrisy because they think they are excused, and the golden rule need not apply to whom they want abused. The weight of condemnation will come from their own lips when fairness becomes that mirror that shows what on character grips. Stuck to the side of the face, grotesque and threatening life, while the host is unaware, letting the beastly thrive. Infected to defend it and attack all threats to its rule, the corrupted will deny this as they actively work as its tool. Antebellum poets weep before the gun's discharge, but poems drown to arrogance eclipsed by egos large. The humane are mocked as woke by those who want a nightmare to succeed, where they, within their arrogance, get to choose whom they make bleed. Wanting such authority not based on what is true, just a lust to be a bully and do what bullies do. Cry harder, snowflake, I've recently seen in print, by one of many who do believe they can see without having to squint. Any extra effort to discern what's really meant is attention they can't afford for their narratives to stay bent. The problem we are facing is discrimination of our language, is decimation of our language, when words have inverse meanings and understanding begins to languish. Anger is inevitable when truth is what's defied, so it's a useful tool for pride to spark its flame of rage inside. Insist a lie is true, then see what it will do. Like magnesium strips in water, it's a predictable reaction too. When chaos is the plan to uproot what's on the land, making the fooled by fallacy unleash hell across the land. The penchant for insult and cruelty to put another down, believing it's a right of any with proverbial crown, portends the traveled destination where that behavior will go, and the fate that awaits its walkers for the seeds their actions sow. One might think that were not so by the celebration that takes place among the guilty who are gaining with so much joy upon their face, glad to be so prosperous, taking what others owned, using words like evil weapons to ensure such curse is known. Wizards who once wore robes of white, who had to hide their face, who believe in human sacrifice as if they are a superior race, have been successful in disguising the laws that they get passed, so they can pick their subjects without the need for hooded mask. That's why some are wearing dark ones now to cover their faces nonetheless. That one was called Feet in the Water. This one's called The Rides of Our Lives. For Tony, Tom, Rich, and Rob, love is our last chance. There is a willowed whisper that hangs from heaven's heart, and all the wisps of wonder for those who seek its part. Like tentacles of attachment reaching deep into the sea, love is the link of salvation. Like tentacles of attachment reaching deep into the sea, love is the link of salvation from the worst of what can be. Love is what rises above to care for who's around, who share the light of knowledge that lifts humanity off the ground. This poem is not about romance, it's about that love of life, the kind that has respect enough to represent it right. To know that others share it too, and there's a living link alive that cannot be fooled with logic when time for truth arrives. Speed limits have their reasons for the many risks on the road, and how they can't. Speed limits have their reasons for the many risks on the road, and how they can't be avoided if a mass of velocity isn't slowed. Though we've yet to develop technology that can detect all vibrations there are, and all the subtle frequencies that emit from our closest star, it doesn't mean waves don't exist that have more power over others, even if the cold of heart are mean to their sisters or brothers. Days can have their dominance when everything is calm, but it doesn't mean the captors can endure the angered palm. A riverbed is tempting to build on, though, when it's dry and overgrown, and no one's been around the last time the rain came down in such an unusual way that all the lower lands flooded. In such an unusual way that all the lower lands flood, and that which has been hard and dry becomes slick and more liquid mud. Such is shared by iniquity that folly can be fooled, that absence of attentive foresight could be how tragedies pooled. Bullies have their bastions until walls of Jericho fall, when unison of intent learns the proper sound to call. Like rhythms of the ocean lap or bash against the shore, the cycle of human behavior descends from peace to war. The experienced and learned know how to read the sky, ergo, the fog of falsehood is needed to cloud the eyes by those who want to hijack and take control of what's not theirs, like the 47th talks to Canada and shows for NATO he no longer cares. For Glenn and Joe, who pleaded, "Rob, stop!" before he and 3 of our friends died from collision with a rock, I dedicate this poem with a similar plea out loud, that America cannot be blessed hastily moving a load too proud. Just because someone's behind a wheel does not make their judgment right, and just because they close their ears doesn't mean they see the light. My 3 friends in the back of the El Camino did not survive that impact, nor did the driver Rob, despite how remorseful the act. This is relevant today as we find ourselves in the car. Law enforcement lights that started the chase pushed an impaired driver too far. Rather, they started the reaction of immaturity to take place when the fear of facing consequence made the impaired driver race. An inebriated president with the country in the back, acting selfish and reckless, is guaranteed to crash. It is not the fault of the police for turning on their lights. It was the immaturity of the driver who took all parties on that flight. Some think being patriotic is letting a commander drive drunk, even while they are describing the smell of a rose as one of a skunk. Such fealty to falsehood serves no one in the end, even if the promises made sounded like they came from a friend. Love is that life ring on the rapids that its thrower holds on the bank, to save the in danger of dying from succumbing to submersion's yank. Nobody there? Sorry for the distraction. But everyone's distracted by little dogs. Little medicine dogs. My neighbor's dog coming over to say hi. Such fealty to falsehood serves no one in the end, even if the promises made sounded like they came from a friend. Love is that life ring on the rapids that its thrower holds on the bank, to save the in danger of dying from succumbing to submersion's yank. Love will not let those keys in the hand from making it to an ignition, while apathy steps aside to enable a drunken ambition. Willing to gamble with others' lives if they will gain from a loss, complicit they become to serve it like a boss. There will be no happy ending for the jonesing on damnation, who need somebody to suffer to be satisfied at their station. Oh, they talk a big game, wielding their stolen rod, acquired by lies and trickery, pretending it's cool with God. But fantasy is fantasy, even if it's enjoyed, even if the ones who are awake make the still dreaming annoyed. Those who cannot see something can easily say it doesn't exist, with plausible deniability that its reality wasn't missed. That doesn't make it reality, though. It's just a limited point of view, when one that denies all others so it can do what it wants to do. There will always be opposing voices to dissension from above, who warn who's being hateful to repent and live by love. Our voices get drowned by thunder, who bellow but don't want to hear, who want nothing but their ego to navigate and steer. For my friends, Tony, Tom, and Rich, who died by another's hand, woe to all the legislators who do the same across the land, letting inhumanity rule for some selfish reasoned thought, some string of corrupted logic with a hook on which you're caught, moving occupants of a vehicle faster than they want to go because they're smart enough to understand that pending turns require going slow. The 47th is doing the same damned thing, like drivers my medic eyes have seen, who killed their own friend or family because their judgment wasn't keen. There is no level of remorse or regret that changes the pain that forever follows such mistake when immaturity was let to reign. Wanting to go backwards because evolved he's never been, homicide and slavery have found their conduit again. This is not a time for euphemism. Such would mean people die if masked intent succeeds, because falsehood pillows the eye. Joseph Stegner, I wrote that July 27th, 2025. Again, I'm about to send this out to my wonderful representative in Congress, Latifah Simon. So, may sanity and humanity prevail in our time. Love you all. May life be what we truly love in ourselves and in everyone else as well.